You are listening to the It's Your Time podcast, and I'm your host, Certified Life Coach Michelle Arnold Burke. In today's episode, we're discussing performance rewritten. The way you build your brand changes everything. Welcome to the It's Your Time podcast, the podcast where busy professionals like you get the practical solutions and support you need to gain control of your schedule so you can strive to be the best in your career, but without the stress and overwhelm. If you're looking to increase your energy and decrease your stress, you are in the right place. Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, friends. Okay, before I get into today's topic, I want to ask you something. Think about the most memorable person you've ever worked with. Not the highest performer on paper, not the one who sent emails at midnight, the one who, when they walked into a room, things just settled. You trusted them maybe before they even opened their mouth. What do you think it was about them? I would be willing to bet it wasn't their quota numbers. It was how they showed up. And that is what we are talking about today, because I recently had the privilege, and I really do mean that. You know, it is my jam. I love being invited as a guest speaker. And recently I was invited to talk about a personal brand topic for a group of some amazing women. And thinking about the prep and listening to the questions, I could feel the energy, and it reminded me so much of earlier versions of myself. And I'm sure you can relate. High performing, pressure, capable, driven, and also carrying a lot, like a lot of pressure, a lot of the I should be able to handle this. Now, if you've been in corporate for any amount of time, you've heard the phrase, build your brand, be visible, differentiate yourself. And for a long time, I thought your brand was about how hard you worked, how much you produced, how available you were, how many people knew your name. And a lot of early success for folks comes from that, from over-delivering, from saying yes, from proving. But here's what no one really talks about. Just because something works doesn't mean it's sustainable. And you know I love the idea of being in it for the long game. And just because something gets you results, it doesn't mean that it's aligned. There was a point in my career, probably multiple points actually, and this may even resonate with you, where we realize we're succeeding, but it doesn't feel the way we thought it should. We think there should be more to life. Or maybe you think that you're feeling stuck. Maybe you're not feeling calm, not grounded, more reactive, stretched, and constantly trying to keep up with everything that you're creating. And that's when you notice that is where everything starts to shift. Not overnight, but intentionally. So let's define what personal brand actually means. Most people say your brand is your reputation. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. And that's true. But here's how I see it now. Your personal brand is the experience people have of you. It's the behavioral pattern they come to expect. And it's how you show up under pressure. It's how you communicate when things get hard. It's how you lead yourself when nobody's watching. And here's where the neuroscience gets really interesting, because this isn't just like soft stuff, right? It is literally how our brain works. We have a structure, I've talked about it a number of times here, in our brain called the reticular activating system, the RAS. And its job is to filter roughly 11 million bits of information that your brain receives every second down to about 50 that it can actually consciously process. But here's what's relevant for us. The RAS is also a pattern recognition engine. So when someone interacts with you repeatedly, their brain is running a background program unconsciously asking, is this person predictable? Are they stable? Can I trust them? And based on your pattern over time, not one big win, not one great presentation, their brain files you as safe or unpredictable, as trustworthy or inconsistent, as someone to lean on or someone to manage. And that filing happens below conscious awareness, which means people have decided what your brand is before they've ever sat down to think about it, to really think about it. Now, here's what gets even more important. When we're operating from chaotic stress, from that chronic, constant, I have to prove myself energy, our nervous system moves into what researchers call a threat response. The amygdala, your brain's alarm system, gets activated. And when that happens, your prefrontal cortex, that part that's responsible for strategic thinking, Nuance, communication, empathy, creativity, that goes offline, not metaphorically, neurologically. The blood flow, the glucose, the neural activation literally shifts away from higher order thinking and toward survival response. So even when you're working the hardest, you're actually not accessing your best thinking. Your communication gets shorter, maybe sometimes sharper. Your listening narrows. Your ability to read the room, which is critical in sales, decreases. And people feel that. They may not name it, they may not be able to articulate it, but their nervous system registers it. And it shapes how they experience you. And that is what I mean when I say performance rewritten. It's not about doing less, it's about performing at a high level from a regulated, intentional, self led place. Instead of constantly proving yourself, you start trusting yourself. Instead of reacting to everything, you start leading from the front. Instead of overextending, you get intentional about where your energy actually goes. And when you make that shift, your brand changes, not because you're trying to look different, but because you are being different. And we have talked so much this year about the importance of identity and the importance of being. And I want you to pause here for a second, because if you're like a lot of the women that I work with, this is never a capability problem. You are capable, absolutely capable. This is an operating system problem. So I want you to ask yourself, when I show up to my day, am I leading it or reacting to it? When things don't go as planned, am I grounded or spiraling? When I communicate, am I intentional or rushed and trying to keep up? Because those moments, that's your brand. And here's another piece that we talked about, and I want to make sure you hear this: relationships. Everyone says relationships matter, and they do, but not in the way most people think. It's not about networking harder or trying to be everywhere. It's about consistency. It's about curiosity. It's about being a freaking human that just wants to reach out to others and have conversations and also see how you can help them. Because here's the neuroscience behind trust. Trust is built through what researchers call predictive processing. The brain is constantly making predictions. We talked about this, right? The RAS, about what's coming next based on past experience. And when you consistently close loops, you follow through, you show up prepared, you stay present, even when you're stressed, you are training the brains of the people around you to predict she's reliable. And reliability triggers the release of oxytocin, the same neurochemical involved in attachment and safety. So when I say trust creates opportunity, there's a biological reason for that. Safety creates openness. Openness creates influence, and influence creates opportunity. It is a spiral effect. And speaking of others, we all know that we've been told that we should have a personal brand board of directors, right? Your mentors, the people that you want to reach out to, all serving different purposes. And I agree. And I also think that you need to be super aware of the shitty committee that we all have in our head. The voices that tell us that we're not ready, that we haven't done enough, that we need to wait, we don't have all the boxes checked, whatever your flavor is. And one activity that I shared with the group is to just take a couple of minutes at the end of the night and write down what your wins are for the day. We want to repattern your brain and train it to look for how much you are doing. That will make such a difference, because when you do that, guess what? Your RAS is looking for more evidence to prove true of all of the things that you're doing, that you're ready to do, and where you are successful. And one of the most powerful questions that came up during this conversation: what happens to your brand when things aren't going well? It's easy to talk about when things are going well, right? And I love the idea of questioning, what about when things are not going well? Because that's where your brand is actually defined. Anyone can look polished when the numbers are good. But when targets are missed, plans change, pressure is high, do you stay steady? Do you take ownership? Do you communicate clearly? Or do you disappear, react, deflect? That's what people remember. And I also shared with them, I will share with you as well, a great book, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, really talks about the importance of exactly that, the ownership. Because when you step into looking at how you can come up with a solution, you are so much more empowered versus thinking It's all of the external that's causing you the grief, the frustration, the anger. And when we're in that mindset, we feel like a victim. And in that mindset, we don't do anything, right? So, where can you own things when they're not going well? And then look for solutions. Tough seasons don't damage your brand. It's how you handle them that actually builds it. And with that thought, you get to define your brand. We talked about this. You get to define your brand. You get to define what success looks like in every season of your life. You get to evolve, you get to change, and you get to grow. And guess what? That is beautiful. That is what we want. We want more people stepping into higher conscious thinking and to be able to evolve and grow and then have a ripple effect in the world. So here's what I want you to take with you today. You don't need to do more to build a stronger brand. You need to lead yourself differently because your brand is not your output. Did you hear me? I say that for all of us, including myself and the voices in my head. Your brand is not your output. It's your pattern. It's the experience of you over time. And people don't just remember what you did, they remember what it felt like to work with you. And as you move through your week, I don't want you thinking, how do I do more? I want you asking yourself, how do I want to show up? What would that look like today? What would that feel like? That's where everything starts to shift. 3 simple questions to start your morning with intention. These are the patterns and the habits that you want to start implementing in order to have that evolution, higher conscious thinking, growing. So I'm going to repeat them. How do I want to show up? What would that look like today? What would that feel like? And before I let you go, 2 things. If this episode resonated with you, I would love for you to share it with someone in your network who you think needs to hear it. That is truly how we grow this community. There are so many amazing things coming down the pike in the next few months, I would say throughout the year. So the more we can build the community now, the better it is even going to get, because I do believe the better it gets, the better it gets. And if you're not already on my email list, I want to invite you in. Every Sunday, I send a newsletter. It's pretty short, practical, straight to the point, with something to help you to lead yourself better heading into the week. And you can find the sign up link in the show notes, of course, but it's michelleburkecoaching.com/newsletter. Okay, that's what I have for you today. We'll meet back here next week. But for now, lead yourself with intention because it's your time. Make it a great day. Take care. Did you know you can take this work to a deeper level with me one-on-one? Go to michelleburkecoaching.com and click on Get Started to begin.